Welcome and good evening to the City of Shakopee City Council meeting for November 7th, 2018. If we could call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember Lehman.
Here.
Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
Councilmember Mokel.
Here.
Mayor Mars.
Here. Thank you very much. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving ahead, item number 3, approval of the agenda. Any changes, corrections, Mr. Reynolds?
Nothing from staff, sir.
Councilors? Councilor Mokel?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Whiting. Discussion, discussion, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda, item number 4, Councilor Lehman.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Whiting. No additions, deletions. There's no discussion then, if we would read the consent agenda into the public record before we vote. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mayor Mars and members of council. These are the consent agenda items for November 7th of 2018. 4A1 approves the minutes of the October 16, 2018 meeting, and 4A2 adopts resolution number R2018 TAC 128, which approves the issuance of a subordinate revenue note for the benefit of Benedictine Living Community of Shakopee, LLC.
Thank you very much. I have a motion and a second on the table. The consent agenda has been read into the public record. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5. Now I'd like to call on any resident that would like to come forward and speak on an item not on the agenda. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and welcome on an item not on the agenda. Seeing none, then, we will move ahead. Item 6, business removed from consent. There was none. Item number 7, 7A, public hearing, currency exchange license for Excel Pond. Councilor Lehman.
Make a motion to open a public hearing.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Mokel. Further discussion? 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 All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now open. And I apologize, who's going to present?
I will, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Essentially, this is a yearly exercise that we do, as you are well aware of, and this is to approve Resolution R2018 TAC 127 to approve the application of Excel Pawn Incorporated doing business as Excel Pawn and Jewelry for a currency exchange license. There are no issues that we've had with the company, and the police department has no issues with the license as well.
Questions of staff? Questions of staff? If not, this is a public hearing. Would the applicant and or their representatives like to come forward and make comment? Okay. This is a public hearing. Would any resident like to come forward and make comment on this application? Seeing none, Councilor Lehman.
Mayor Mars, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Mokel to close the public hearing. Further discussion? Discussion? Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Whiting.
Make a motion to approve Resolution R2018-127, a resolution approving the application of Excel Pawn Incorporated, doing business as Excel Pawn and Jewelry, 450 West 1st Avenue, for currency exchange license.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Lehman. Further discussion? Discussion? Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 7B, vacation of a drain and utility easement. Councilor Lehman.
Motion to open a public hearing.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Mokel to open the public hearing. Further discussion? 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 All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Public hearing is now open. Staff will present. Michael.
Mayor and council, again, this is a vacation of drainage and utility easements in the Stagecoach plat. This is the area that's impacted. We're going to be vacating two 20-foot wide sections of easement for two culverts that have been removed as part of the Stagecoach development. You can see on this diagram where the easements are. Those have since been removed as part of the development of this property. So Planning Commission unanimously approves and recommends approval of the proposed vacation. Engineering staff also recommends approval.
Okay. Questions of staff? Counselor Lehman?
Mayor, where the culverts currently are, or were, they were there for a purpose to move water somewhere. Is there something new in place that's going to take care of wherever the water is going to go now?
Mayor and council, so if you remember, I don't have the new plat, but there are many new drainage and retention ponds in this subdivision, so any of that street water will be going into them.
Okay.
Further questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you. This is a public hearing. Would the applicant and their representatives like to come forward? Would a resident like to come forward and make comment in regard to this application for this vacation? Seeing none, Counselor Whiting?
Move to close the public hearing.
I have a motion and a second by Counselor Mokel to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now closed. Counselor Mokel?
Make a motion to approve resolution number R2018-126.
I have a motion and a second by Counselor Lehman. Further discussion? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving ahead to 8A1, special meeting for canvassing of the 2018 election results. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you are aware that we are required by state law to canvass the 2018 election returns. The reason we are not doing that tonight is that we do not have the ability to get the turnaround from the county that we need in order to do that. So for that reason, we're looking to have a very brief special meeting somewhere between November 13th and 16th so we can get that accomplished. We're recommending Tuesday the 13th at 7 p.m. And we leave that to your decision.
Yeah. Counselors, would Tuesday the 13th work?
Works for me.
All right. Okay. It does not work for me, but I have been in contact with our vice mayor, and he has agreed to run that meeting. Hopefully, he runs an effective and efficient meeting and not dragged out.
We're going to count the vote.
Each one, by hand.
So, okay.
Do we need a
well,
motion or anything, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, please, if we could.
Counselor Lehman.
Make a motion to set November 13, 2018, 7 p.m., City Hall, for a short meeting to canvass the 2018 election returns.
A second.
Council Mokel has seconded that. Further discussion? Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Counselor Whiting?
A little follow-up. I'd like to check in with our city clerk and if there's any voting issues or concerns for the future and have her report on that at that meeting.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. I will say that both the Assistant City Administrator and I talked with the City Clerk this morning. Things went really, really well. We had new equipment. We had some election judges that had elected not to participate, but the election process itself went very well. Very proud of the way staff conducted it and looking forward to having a detailed report that we can bring out once we look at some other issues too, and we'll have that ready for you.
Thank you. I also would like to take this time to thank all of those election judges. They spend all day there. We appreciate them for doing that, and if you are, for the next election, if you're interested in becoming an election judge, contact Lori Henson, our city clerk. Thank you.
All right, moving on, the 9A, the city bill list for our review. 9B, liaison report, administration report. Counselor Lehman.
22nd of November, October, sorry. School board meeting. Items of focus were the budget overview. A lot of the categories, what they projected to be spending and where they're actually at were less, so that's a good thing. I gotta say, I kind of like the new format that they're using a little bit better than the old format. Well, actually, a lot better than the old format. A potential 1.8 million in a reserve, if it holds. And if that projection holds for the next year, which goes June to June, so we could possibly be up in the $4 million range in another year or so in that reserve. So almost 30% of what used to be there returns, so that's a good thing, positive note. The high school construction is complete. What's left is the punch detail. There was $168,000 left in the budget for that building. The punch detail and the sign, they're considering changing the font and the size of the letters on the sign, and that may or may not need a change to a conditional use permit, so that's being worked out between staffs. Enrollment was 96% of projections. Some areas pretty tight, some areas a little slacked off. Guess their projection was pretty close. Interest data card is I don't know if champion is the right word, of the Science and Technology Academy. So they were there and excited to be involved in that. The 29th, kind of had a meeting conflict there. The 169 Executive Board, which I'm appointed to, met at 4 o'clock. It conflicted with the economic update. They set the priorities for 2019. Of them priorities, the river crossing capacity is the high priority. Not specifying exactly where, but I guess at this point, any crossing capacity of the river is good. At-grade crossings and safety improvements. And the third one was intercity busing options / the bus rapid transit and express services and the interconnections between all of these and even amongst different providers. As Councilor Whiting, being our liaison on MVTA, has talked about this in detail. Them pieces, when they do come together really well, work very well and serve a lot of different people's needs. So it's a good thing that I think they have on there as one of their priorities. Went over the budget, the revenues and expenses, and then talked about meeting schedules, potential speakers for some of these meetings. One of them is going to be MnDOT to give an update on the 35W project, which is like a 3-year project, and what its impacts are on 169, what they're seeing currently, what they're going to see as it progresses, and if them impacts, if they're more than what they anticipate on 169, if they have any kind of a plan to mitigate that. All of these items have to go to the full board for actual adoption and changes or whatever. That's tomorrow. So if you have anything you'd like me to bring to the regular board meeting tomorrow, now would be the time to tell me that. And we'll go from there.
Good report. Thank you. I've been out and about in the community, but today we went to the ribbon cutting for 610 apartment, over 130 units over by Hy-Vee. They just opened. They're already 20% filled. That's slightly ahead of their pro forma effort. Nice place, took a tour. Real nice addition on the west end of our community. And I did read yesterday in the paper that common bond that was before the city council on the west end did get their funding the other day, $15.1 million. So congratulations to them. That was my report. Councilor Whiting?
Oh, thank you. At the MVTA meeting on the 24th, this weekend, I had the opportunity to sit in traffic on 169. And as I was sitting there, two buses went right by me on the shoulder. And so if you're concerned about sitting in that traffic, and we know every people that have to do it are, consider taking the bus. It'll get you there faster. And a little more on that, there has been some delays with all the construction season. Obviously, there's been some issues. MVTA did a corridor study on Marquette Avenue, and it seems like every bus service in town has stops on Marquette Avenue. There's some opportunities there to speed up, try to stay on time, so they're working on those low-hanging fruit ideas and potentially even going over a couple more blocks from Marquette and using that as a corridor. The regional solicitation scoring process that MVTA goes through to try and get some of the extra funds that they can use for projects is set up so that it doesn't favor the opt-outs. It favors the inner city with a lot more of the population centers, and so of course MTC through the Met Council typically picks up all of those regional solicitation dollars for our region. So we've sent some letters to try and protest the kind of the scoring process for that, so we can at least get a few projects going. They're in the phases of testing their CAD AVL system. They call it a FAT training, for those who love these government acronyms. FAT stands for the Factory Acceptance Testing. There were some issues, but they expected more, actually, so it was a good sign. So
What exactly does that do?
that's the communication system that's counting the passengers. It's sending the information on time. It has so many different systems on that bus that it's incredible. It's working together with all the online schedules and kind of coordinates everything. So there's some work.
Data gathering thing.
Yeah, data gathering, counting people, counting change in the money box, things like that. Other than that, that's all I have. I do want to congratulate we have one new council member elect here, Ms. Brennan and Ms. Contreras on their election. And I don't know, did you do okay? Or?
Well, they're gonna have to canvass the vote.
We have to canvass the vote, that's right. But I heard you were running for something too. I wasn't sure, but congratulations to our new members, and thank you to our outgoing members for their service to this community.
Counselor Mokel.
I have none. Thank you.
Administrator report. Mr. Reynolds.
Couple of issues, Mr. Mayor, and I've already passed at least a portion of this to the council, but I want to share it with the community as well. Last Saturday, we had a very successful event at the community center. We had our fitness sampler. Both I and my wife were supposed to attend. I was unfortunately under the weather Saturday morning, but my wife attended. And she's very hard to impress. And I will say that she was very impressed with all the offerings. She was impressed with staff. I don't think people knew who she was, so I don't think that they were, giving her any more than anyone else attention or anything. I've received a lot of great feedback about it. It's something new that we started, and Megan Munoz, our fitness coordinator, certainly has a lot to do with that. And I obviously want to congratulate Brad Eller, too, as the manager for the community center for all of his efforts. But part of that, we had total new memberships. We had 22 new memberships with 55 new members because of this event. So we're going to continue to, like I told Jay, our new director of Parks and Recreation, I want customer service and I want revenues. And so we're working on both of those, and we'll continue to do so for that department. The second thing is that, and I don't remember if I informed you of this or not, but if I did, this would be also for the public in general. The Minnesota Historical Society had granted us a $336,000 grant to deal with some of the drainage issues we have on the north side of 101, and pretty excited about that. Kirby Templin and Joy Sutton both worked very hard on that. Joy, as you know, is our grants coordinator, and once again, I'll admit that a position I was not in favor for until Chief Tate basically convinced me that it had value added, and boy, does it ever. The amount of grants that we've been able to put together because of coordination with Joy and the other departments has been just absolutely phenomenal. Hats off to engineering and the grant coordination team. It's just fantastic. Money that we would not have to go to fix that absent the grant. And finally, on Thursday and Friday of next week, I will be in New Orleans escorting Colonel Reynolds for the Marine Corps birthday ball, so I will be unavailable during that time period.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Reynolds. Moving forward then to other business, Councilor Lehman.
I guess I would say thanks to all the candidates that put themselves out there to run for office and serve others. Deeply appreciated. Congratulations to those that won, both elected and re-elected. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Anything else before this board? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to, I believe,
November 13th.
the 20th?
13th.
Oh, 13th,
Yeah.
7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. To further discussion, discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:22.